Oh my god, I was completely blindsided. It's clear that, like, the 3 votes against Joshua were from me, Haley, and David. I had no idea people were gunning for Haley at all. Like, I knew, like, people were like, oh, let's, like, think that she was being voted out so she can use her compass, but damn. The compass is still out there, and I know now for a fact it has to be Mariana because I have receipts saying I was too late. So clearly it's not me. I don't know. Like, I'm very worried that I'm next, and I say that every day. But like, I am legitimately worried I'm next because I didn't vote the way, you know, my alliance did, and then like, I was in the clue room, you know? Like, people think I have the compass. And I legitimately thought I was going home. I would have played it tonight. But man, I am super, super worried because I'm still loyal to my day zeros. And now I still see Joshua as a huge threat, but I don't know. At this point, I'm just gonna vote whatever someone tells me, whichever way someone tells me to vote, because I literally can't. I hate this feeling every freaking night, you know, like, oh, I'm going home. But yeah, tonight I definitely grew a mistrust of Mariana. I feel like, you know, because we were originally Team Kelly, she would have like at least told me something about a compass, and like she would have at least told me to vote a certain way if we were a team, but we're not. And now I know that I can't trust her. I'm iffy about Carl. I like him a lot. He has a great personality. He's a people person, but I don't know. I feel like at this point I'm in the same position as Carl is, you know, just save my own ass, like, you know. But it's nice, like, getting to talk to him. He's like a really cool dude. I wish I got to talk to Joshua, because if I had known that was a plan, I would have voted on his side. I thought he was against me. I legitimately thought I was gonna hear my name tonight. So yeah, very much blindsided. I cannot. Dude, I cannot, literally. So yeah, that was rough, man. That was really rough. And I mean, overall, the people who are getting eliminated are in my favor because these were people I don't have like a close connection with. But I think Mariana has to go next. I don't trust her at all. I think she is my biggest threat right now.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to another edition of Carl's Confessionals. Hallie, hold on, this is for you. Sorry, girl. I really did like you. But, unfortunately, in order for my plan to work, I needed to take you out because you were aligned with David, and I kind of knew that David would come running to me or to us when we took you out. So it was never really nothing personal. It was kind of like a power move. I do want to take credit for that blindside. I believe it's the first blindside of the season. So fuck it. I'm not going to wait to the end. I'm just going to put the crown on now. Because your boy's sitting here doing king shit. So I'll explain that vote a little bit. Really didn't know where it was going to go with Mariana. It was Bambi, but that was too easy. Splitting up Haley and David, like I said, would bring him to us, which I think it did. It also put us in a good position. We are now, if you look at it, if you put it on the second party swap, we are at a 5-3 number. If you look at the girls and the guys, it is now a 4-4 thing. Me, Josh, and Mike are a real thing. Me and Josh are a real thing. Chicken and waffles, baby. But I think people are starting to take notice to that. So after we got Haley, I made sure I got into a room alone with Mike, and I know that Mike and Josh have a half a compass, and I think I convinced Mike to combine it, to make it into a full compass for all three of us. I feel really good with Josh, and I think Josh is still my guy, although I still like the fact that I have Olivia left in this game, and I still think that Danielle is willing to work with me. Mariana's kind of a wild card, and so is Bambi. Like, I tried feeling her out. I'm not really sure. But all I know is this, is it's Final 8, y'all, and your boy is still here, y'all. Just a king doing king shit. Oh, hell! King Carl.
Expedition Online. You are making this a real tough road for me. Real tough road. So we got some homework for the challenge where we had to freeze half a cup of ice, put a quarter on top in the middle, freeze another half a cup above that. And our challenge supplies were pretty bizarre. A spoon, a lighter, a knife. And the thing that got me off was a notebook and some paper and a pencil. And I was like, well, you know, if we're getting a coin out of that, what does a notebook have to do with anything? But the challenge was that we had to answer questions. And depending on which questions we got right, we got to use certain tools at certain points of the challenge. So the first question was, how many times was glacier or glacial, used in the title of a challenge? And I've been prepared for this one. Carl was like, oh, it was a random guess and everything. I've written down all the names of the challenges. I just kind of thought that would come into play at some point. So I've written them all down, and I had my notebook right in front of me because I was using it to answer questions. So I can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. And that was the most important question to answer because it got you a tool to use at the 5-minute mark. So I was able to win exemption for this round, and I kind of didn't think I needed it, but after today, it might have been a must-win for me. It really might have been because I didn't want to have to start just like going into challenge mode, but I might have to, and the odds of me winning out are pretty low, but it's starting to feel like I'm very much on the bottom of this game, and I'm certainly seen as a threat. And people don't seem to trust me. So the game I tried to play is just totally blown up. It's gone. People don't trust me. People don't fill me in on it. The only person I trusted got totally blindsided. She was the person I trusted the most. And it just sucks that Haley is out of this game. I was in a room early on with me, Haley, Mariana, and Bambi. And I was just like, Carl and Josh are the two people that I really don't trust. If we can just get numbers on them, like if the four of us just stick together, all we need is one person. All we need is one more person and the four of us, and we have majority. That's all we have to do. So I thought it was a pretty foolproof plan because I thought the four people in that room seemed to be gung-ho for it. And I thought Danielle could be the fifth, and maybe even Olivia and have 6. And then we didn't have to involve Mike on it, who's close with Josh. So I really thought this was my week to pull off and execute a big move, and I felt really good about it. But then I talked with Mike right before Crossroads, and he's like, I'm trying to figure out a way to save Haley. I was like, what do you mean save Haley? What do you mean save Haley? And apparently people thought me and her were a duo, and they're not wrong. Like, we've been together since the beginning of the game. We've always been on the same party together. And I did have a lot of trust in her, and she was my closest strategic ally. And we were like always on the same page. Even today, when I was talking about leaving Mike out, she's like, yeah, of course, that's what I think too. So the one person that really, really had my back in this game got blindsided. And if I hadn't won, they might have tried to split us up anyhow, but targeted me instead. So everyone, blew smoke my way and was like, oh, we trust you more now that you're not part of this duo. Like, now that you're disconnected with her, you're part of us now, We broke up a duo, so Carl even used this line. We broke up a duo so that we could be a family, so that the four of us guys could be a family. It's like, Carl and I have never been on the same page. If it's real, if Carl really does want to work with me, like, I'm open to it, but I just don't believe it. So I am, my two closest allies, I thought my two closest allies were Haley and Katie, and obviously me and Katie blew up and exploded in a very dramatic way. Even though I fucking love Katie and I wanted to have her back in this game, it just sucks. And then right after that, Haley, and I went from like having some pretty strong allies to not really knowing where I stand. My closest ally is probably Mike, and Mike is playing all sides. Mike has the ear of everyone, and everyone wants to work with Mike. So it's tough. It's really tough. I have this thing with Danielle and Mariana, but I don't trust Mariana at all, actually. I don't think she trusts me. She voted for me before. She's playing this game hard, and I just don't see a whole lot of effort into her trying to have my trust. So I gotta do some major damage control, because I think me and Bambi are at the bottom, like the very bottom, and I'm definitely a bigger target than Bambi. So what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Expedition Online, I always felt like, compasses and advantages were a strong part of my game. I enjoy hunting and finding them. I've been very good at that in previous games I've played, and I have sucked at that in this game. Obviously, I got a compass from Katie, but I've really sucked at finding advantages. I search for 24 hours for this thing, and I just didn't think of combing through years of someone's Instagram. Ugh. It was in the comments. Even when someone told me, I looked back and tried to find it again. It was in the comments of the photo from 2014. You bastards. You hit it so deep. And multiple people found it. Like Bambi found it, Haley found it, and I think Mariana found it. Although Bambi could be a good liar. Maybe Bambi has it. That'd be pretty good. I mean, Bambi's at the bottom. But people probably think I might have it too. And I don't. There's a good chance I'm going to have to use my Destiny's token next time. Because I am alone. I'm really alone in this game. This is terrifying. Back to the drawing board, man. This is rough. I don't want to be in a position to have to win out the rest of the way, but it's not looking good for me.
Okay, so should we go ahead and scratch everything that I said in my last confessional? I got blindsided. Day 10. I thought I was finally seeing a path to the end. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened at all. And I'm really excited for when someone gives me that information. Tonight, we went into the challenge without knowing very much of what was going to happen beforehand. It was very, very difficult to work with the ice. My fingers were swollen for an hour. But David won, and apparently that's what put me possibly in such a bad position. I went in feeling solid. We wanted to get Joshua or Carl out. I had been really wanting to get Joshua out, and David and I talked together really fast. We jumped in with some other people. We thought the plan was in motion, and For me and 2 other people, it was. But for the other 6, it was very much not in motion. So I think my downfall might have been coming on too strong tonight. I was feeling really good after the win last night, but I think my problem is that it was about maybe intelligence. That makes me feel like I'm thinking way too highly of myself. But I feel like I was showing that I was thinking too much, and I got really excited to be able to make some sort of move tonight because I was itching to do it, and I guess it caught up with me. Man, I thought I had a way to the end. I think Mike and Bambi, girl, you trickster. I think Mike and Bambi flipped. I don't know what anyone else that I talked to thought. I think I'm still in shock, and it's been a while. Been a bit since I got voted out. Or deserted. I'm sorry. But I guess looking back tonight, there were a lot of times where I was by myself and things were happening, and I guess I wasn't in on it. I think Mike could have his finger on the pulse of this thing. Maybe someone else does, but that's how it feels right now. I was worried about him because it seemed like he had so many friends. David, I'm rooting for you, but I'm worried I might see you soon. I am excited to be able to see the drama, but I really wish I could be a part of the drama. So like I said, right after Expedition Online All-Stars, give me a call. So disappointed. But thanks for casting me. I'm glad to have been a part of it. And I can't wait to vote for a winner.
We're at the final 9. And am I being honest? This is the most critical point in this entire game. We're at the halfway mark. This is where shit gets real. And I have a really good opportunity to position myself very well in this game. But it's all just on a couple key components, making sure that we're good. I feel absolutely solid with myself. Obviously, of course I'm going to be solid with myself. With Carl, Danielle, and Mariana. That's 4 right there. Not quite enough for a majority. We need 1 or 2 more to get a majority. I would prefer 2. It's better to have numbers. It makes people feel more secure. Less of an opportunity for people to jump ship at the next vote. So I want 6. Because even if we have 6, at the next vote out, if there's 6 of us, they would have to bring over 2 people to even tie with the current majority. So I want a group of 6. And I'm thinking we bring in Olivia and Mike. Olivia, I am someone more confident in. Mike is the one that's on the outlier. Mike has been somebody who's been kind of not wanting to work with a Mariana. And I understand why. But he also has to see that you have to give some to take some. And right now he hasn't been doing a lot of giving. He's been pushing Mariana for the past 3 nights, and just nobody's baiting it. Nobody's even considering it, really. And he's getting frustrated, and I totally get that, because if I were to push a name 3 nights in a row and nobody really took me seriously, I'd be frustrated too. But there will be a time Mariana's got to go. It's just not now, Mike. Mike, you gotta calm down. Gotta relax, and we gotta make this work. My goals right now are to set myself up, and I believe I can do that. I think it's time that Haley and David be separated. And I'm hoping best case scenario is neither of them win exemption. But we'll work around it if they do. This is an easy vote out. If I can just get the right pieces aligned at the right time. And we'll have to see how it goes, but I definitely think this is the most crucial part of Expedition, is that halfway mark, setting yourself up for the end game. And I intend to end with the best end game.
So we just had Crossroads, and whoo boy, I'm safe. I didn't get votes, I got 3 votes, but it was also 6 on Haley. Not a single thing was played, no doubt in my mind that I can trust these people. At least for now. There's still some question with Mike. Mike was still not wanting to do any of this. He wants to do Mariana, and right after we got voted out, or after we voted out Haley and we got to come back to camp, he just goes straight to Mariana, and I think he's making his apologies. I think he understands that he's going to be on the bottom if he keeps trying to push anything, so he has to make amends. Which is a shame, because I really feel like had he just listened to Carl and I, he would have been fine. He would have been doing great, thriving. But right now he's kind of put himself in an awkward position where if he works with the people he wants to work with, he's going to be on the bottom. And if he works with us, he's going to be on the bottom as well. So he's going to have to do double time to try to really bring this all together, which is definitely interesting. But I think I'll keep a close eye on him for now. And he's still got half a compass, so he has to trust me. He has to play my game pretty much. And I feel comfortable enough to where I feel like I don't need his half a compass. So I don't really have to play his game, but he does have to play mine now. I'm excited. I really am just stoked about what happened last night. Haley went home. David was shocked. Bambi, I don't know if Bambi even cares at this point, honestly. I feel like she just hasn't voted correctly, like, at all. But yeah, I mean, that just really tickled my feather because, you know, a lot of people gave David a lot of credit in the pre-merge, and I'm here to take the credit back. It's my game. This is my game to lose. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. I really trust Danielle, Mariana, Carl. That's the 4. We pull in Mariana, or pull in Olivia. That's 5. That's majority now. We don't even need Mike, but we got to keep close tabs on Mike. This is going to be a really good post-halfway mark for me, and I'm excited. I'm really excited. I feel like I could just relax for the first time in a while in this game. Truly relax and just enjoy the moment, have fun in the games, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to see what we can do, but I'm feeling really good right now. Just really, really good. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, it's Mariana with my Day 10 update video. Alright, so let's talk about the challenge tonight. Whew. It took a while for my hands to get better. Like, literally, my hands felt like they had frostbite. And I usually snowboard, so, like, I'm used to, you know, having my hands in the snow. Nothing, or even like, you know, shoveling the driveway in the winter, but not to the extent like that. But yeah, as you've seen, I was so close of getting a knife. Like, no one got a knife, and I originally had pink and blue, but then I crossed out blue and put green, so I could have had a knife, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because David got it. David won using just a spoon, so like even if I won the knife, I probably wouldn't have been able to even like use it. So yeah, not so mad about David winning. I like David. I think he might be good for my game. I mean, I don't know after today, but yeah, David winning is not bad for me. I'm sure others don't feel the same way. Maybe some of the explorers wanted David to lose. Don't know, but yeah. I honestly didn't think I was gonna win. It was just, it was too cold. So I'm just going to rely on my social connections to get me by this or tonight with this crossroads. And if anything, I have my compass to play if I feel like my name is being thrown out there. But from what I've heard, like, I don't think I was really a target. It's funny, Mike is the only one who keeps saying my name. So, like, Olivia and Danielle have both told me that Mike keeps saying my name. And later on, you guys probably saw that Mike, after Crossroads, confronted me, and he pretty much told me, like, yeah, I have been saying your name because I just don't know you. I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. Like, I barely know you too. Like, if I can throw a name out, it would be yours. But then and I'll get back to, you know, the Crossroads and the vote, but, like, what sucks is, like, Mike showed that he wanted to, or he kind of showed interest that he wanted to work with me. I don't know if he was bluffing or not, but I'm like, yeah, sure, let's work together. I don't know. And then, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure we both agree that there's bigger targets to get rid of, like Carl and Josh. And we kind of talked about how there's, like, different pairs in the game. So we both mentioned, like, Carl and Josh being a power pair. And then I straight up told Mike, like, hey, I feel like people are seeing you and Olivia as a pair. And then obviously David and Haley were a pair. And then I would say Danielle and I are like a pair. And then Bambi is either between me and Danielle, or I feel like maybe she was more on the Olivia Mike train. But, like, what's annoying is, like, Mike told Carl and was like, oh, so Carl was like to me, like, oh, I heard from, you know, Mike that you're targeting me or something like along the lines. I'm like, no, literally Mike was talking about you, and then we just mentioned about all the different pairs. So I'm kind of nervous about Mike. Like, I think after me talking to Mike yesterday, I'm like, you know, I'm not going to talk to this guy. I'm not going to tell him anything because he's just going to go and tell others. So to be honest, I have learned that Mike is someone that I need to get out, whether it's Mike or Carl, because I just don't trust them. And I think the guys are working closer than we think. How the numbers lie were at the time. So we had our 5-person party. So Carl, Josh, Danielle, Olivia, and I, we were all in the party before the rendezvous. So we could have controlled the numbers, right? Which we did. We ultimately got Haley out. So the 5 of us, we talked. This was like maybe like halfway into the base camp time. And we finally mentioned, or someone finally mentioned Haley's name, like, oh, we should probably get out one of the power pairs. So since David was safe, we're like, okay, let's get out Haley. And then people brought up how Haley might have the compass, which is good for me because no one is potentially speculating me. So they're like, oh yeah, let's flush Haley's compass. You know, if we don't get them out, then they're going to control the rest of the game. We need to have numbers, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, whatever. So I felt like for my game at that time, I think this round for day 10 was better to just go with the 5 original people that I was on the party with prior to rendezvous. However, I'm open to different changes for this upcoming round. Like, I highly doubt we're gonna vote together this round, and I feel like it's gonna be more of like a girl versus guy thing. I don't know. But yes, I need to be careful with what I say, to be honest. At this point, I really only trust Danielle. Yeah, honestly, I feel like I only trust Danielle, and then Josh too. Like, Josh has never said anything bad about me, but then I would say Carl and Mike are more the people that I'm more concerned about at this time. It's funny, originally when we first got to the base camp, I like jumped into a room with Haley, and like, I feel like Haley just doesn't give me anything. Like, she wants to hear a name from me first. And she's like, oh, who should you talk to? I'm like, to be honest, I only spoke to, like, Carl. And then, who else? I think I spoke to, like, a Bambi. And, yeah, so, yeah, I spoke to, like, Carl and Bambi. I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting any names yet. So when we first got into the base camp, I ultimately went into a room with, like, David, me, Haley, and I believe it was Bambi. And the original plan was to get Carl out, right? So then I jump around my other rooms, 20 minutes pass or so, and now I'm hearing the name Josh. I'm like, you guys just told me Carl, and now you guys want to get out Josh. So 5 minutes before we have to go, Haley's like, oh yeah, let's vote out Josh. And I'm like, I'm pretty much thinking, like, why did they just change their plan? And like, no one would have told me the plan if I haven't had voluntarily jumped into the room with Haley. So yeah, like at that point, I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't know how I feel about this side of the house. I'm like, for this round, maybe I just get the safety of the 5 that, haven't been saying my name, hopefully. So I'm like, whatever. Right now we gotta pretend like we're gonna flush Haley's compass, which ultimately she didn't have. Boo-hoo. But now people think it's Bambi, so it hasn't hit me yet. And I still have 3 rounds or 4 rounds to use it, so hopefully I can use it. I have my token. I hope I can, leverage both of them. But moving forward, now the goal is to work with David and Danielle. I need to talk to David because I'm sure he's mad at me, or I hope he's not mad, but I'm sure he is about Haley going, because she was like one of his closest allies. So I feel very weird, in a weird spot with David, only because I voted him out, or I voted him in the last round, and then I voted his best friend this round. So I don't know how much David's gonna trust me after this round. Yeah. So I gotta work with my relationship with David. And then I barely even spoke to Danielle this round, but we're good. I just still feel bad I haven't told her about the compass, but again, I'm gonna say some sort of excuse like, yeah, I just couldn't tell anyone. I'll find a good time. I'll find a good time to tell her, maybe. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. I'm just glad I was able to survive another crossroads. People just, I don't know, they all want to work with me now, and they're all going after each other, so they know that they're going to need my vote this round, or this upcoming round, so we'll see what happens. I just hope I'm not the one who gets out, and like I said, I might play my compass just in case, who knows, but I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Episode 10. This was a tough one. Basically, it's coming down to people I really like. So strategically speaking, I am in some deep water. So I've got to kind of figure things out and figure out where I want to take this game. But ultimately, we go to the challenge. We have to melt a block of ice to get to a quarter that we have melted in the middle of the block. And I actually thought that I would do really well with this challenge. There are 3 questions that if you get the 3 questions correct, then you get advantages throughout the challenge. I get the first question wrong, so I don't get to use a spoon at 5 minutes. I get the second question correct, so I get to use a knife at 10 minutes. And nobody got the third question right, so nobody could use fire at the end if we needed it. But I was really banking on getting to that knife and just hacking my way and, melting it as much as I could and then hacking my way through the block of ice. But before we even got to the 10 minutes, I think it was like a little less than 8 minutes, David had the quarter in his hand and he had won exemption. So I was really, happy for David, proud that he was able to kind of claim safety for himself. The dilemma was that put Haley in a huge target. And the unfortunate thing is that other people also thought that Haley had found a compass. So people really wanted to flush that. So the original plan was that we were going to vote for Haley and tell everybody Bambi. So initial plan is to vote for Haley, tell people it's Bambi. Get enough votes on Haley. If she uses the compass, potentially Bambi's the one with the other votes. I obviously don't want either of those ladies to go home, so I try to flip it onto Carl. So I go to Danielle and Bambi and Olivia, and I'm like, hey guys, like we're sticking together, we're doing this.
100%. Let's figure this out. I really, really like Olivia and Bambi. Like, I want to go to the end with them, and I've now solidified with them that I want it to be the three of us in the end. Olivia questioned me and was like, well, what about Danielle? And I was like, there can only be three of us in the end. She's like, oh, that's right. And I'm like, so, like, you're the two that I want to take. I want to go to the end with. So I hope that they believe me, because it's true. I really, really do want Olivia and Bambi sitting next to me. I think that they are wonderful human beings. I think it's a great representation of the season. I think that Bambi has played very, very well and kept herself in this game. And I think Olivia has made the right choices to keep herself, alive. So, and they were my day zeros. Like, they were the people that I connected with right from the beginning. So I want them to believe wholeheartedly that I am with them. So we bring up Carl. Carl becomes kind of the potential vote. So I go to Haley, and I say, Haley, I want to vote off Carl. I think Carl is the one we try to take out. And she hemmed and hawed. She did not want to vote for Carl. She wanted to vote for Josh. She felt like Josh was the bigger threat. I don't disagree. The problem with voting for Josh for me is that he has the other half compass that goes away if I vote him out. I need that in my pocket before he can go. I need that in my hand. And I need to persuade them to give it to me, because I'm the third person, right? Carl and Josh are solid together. So if I give it to Josh, if I say, here, Josh, here's the compass, there's no guarantee that I'm going to be safe in any sort of situation. So I want them to gift me the other half compass so that I have the compass, so that I can choose whether or not I save them or somebody else or myself with the compass. So, I really need Josh to give me the half compass. I don't think that's going to happen. Philip tried to do that earlier. Obviously, Josh, played him like a fiddle. And so I don't want to come at him as like, I'm in trouble. I need the other half compass. I want to go in and say, like, listen, of the three of us, I feel like if one of us is on the outs of the others, it's me. In order to make me feel 100% with you guys, you have to give me the other half compass, because I don't have anybody else. I only have you guys. So that's kind of the pitch I'm sending to them. Because at this point, I think David is a clear target. I think that it sounds like Mariana might start becoming a name. Suddenly, people are like, oh, we think Mariana has the compass. Great. We should have voted her out 2 rounds ago. But whatever. Like, come on. Like, I know how to play this game. And it's very frustrating because, like, I knew Mariana was going to have something going on. Like, she's got something hidden over there. And people are just like, she's not a threat. She's with us. I'm like, that's great. She's with you. She's not with me. So I got to figure that out. At this point, I just need to, anyway, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So the vote at this point is either Carl or Josh, or either Haley or Bambi. And I'm just like, I'm not voting Bambi and I'm not voting Josh. So I'm either voting for Haley or Carl. At the last minute, Danielle comes into a room. I think it's Olivia, Josh, me, and Danielle. And basically says, Josh, the vote's on you. People are voting for you. Mike, stop saying Mariana's name. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, you're pushing her name. And I was like, well, yeah, I have. Like, she's one of my only options. The only person this round, or the only people that I've pushed her name to, were Josh and Carl. I don't think I mentioned her name to anybody else. So I'm actually really frustrated because I think Carl is playing a really chaotic game. And I just don't understand it. Like, he tells me, like, oh, bros forever. We're in this together. And I'm like, great. And then he voted off Neil and Philip, who he said the same things to. So I'm just really, really skeptical of Carl's allegiances and, like, where he thinks the game is going. So he seems to think that it's me, him, and Josh to the end. But I can't trust that. I don't know where his head really is at. So I got to figure that corner out. I also felt like Haley, David, Danielle, Olivia, and myself were tight. And David kind of brought that up too. And I'm like, I think so. I thought so. So I threw Carl's name out. Carl doesn't seem to have any clue. And if he does, he's playing a really sly game because he's making it seem like I'm his buddy. So I've literally put his name out there 2 rounds in a row, which is hilarious that people are coming at me to stop saying Mariana's name because I'm like, I'm pushing Carl. I've been pushing Carl. So I don't know. So that's interesting to me. Clearly Carl has to be the one going and telling Mariana because I don't know who else I'd be saying that to. So I know I've said her name and I'm pretty sure it was to Carl. So yeah, so Carl's not to be trusted. He did the same thing to Bambi. He was like, all like great with Bambi and then has been throwing her name out. So I really do feel like Carl and Josh do trust me, but I can't trust what they're doing. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know where their head's at. Josh more so than Carl. Like, Carl's a wild card to me. So anyway, so I push Carl's name. That's not gaining traction. It sounds like Josh. Danielle comes in, has a whole crazy moment, tells Josh that it's him, tells me to stop saying Mariana's name. So I'm like, okay. Olivia basically says, we're voting Haley, right? In front of Josh, which I thought we were voting Carl. So now I'm just like, I guess we're voting Haley. So at the last minute, I had to switch my vote to Haley because I didn't know where anyone else's heads were at. Because, you know, at the last minute, right? It's always that last name that you hear. And it's true. Like, you know, Haley was just the last name I heard. And I was just keeping my fingers crossed that she had a compass and played it. My concern was that Josh was going. I couldn't have Josh go home. So then I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, well, do I flip a vote on Carl just in case? Because I could potentially gift Josh my half idol. Like if Haley plays a compass, I could gift my half compass to Josh. He plays a full compass, and then Carl goes home just by random draw, right? My vote. That was my hope. I was really hoping Haley had the compass because then we pretty much flush all of these compasses, right? So Haley plays the compass, Josh and I play our compass, all done, right? Final 8. Carl's out of the picture. Josh is still cool with me. Everybody's like, so, and then Haley and David become the next target. So I really thought I had it. Haley didn't have a compass. She ends up going home, which I am sad about. Like, I didn't want her to go, but it does put me in the better position than having, you know, thrown some craziness out there. So, Haley went home, super sad. I was really sad for David because David's been having a really tough time in the last couple of rounds. So I felt like, you know, I need to somehow connect with David and protect him somehow, some way, coming up. I solidified things with Olivia and Bambi. I did reach out to Mariana after the vote. I talked to her and basically just said, listen, somebody, you know, it's very obvious that I would be throwing your name out. I don't think that you would be surprised by that. I said, but what I am surprised by is that somebody is not trustworthy. And I don't think that there's somebody you should trust either because they're really just creating chaos in this game. Chaos is good for Mariana, but at the end of the day, it doesn't get her to the end. Like, she's still, you know, a side number. She's not a full number with anybody. So I basically just pitched the idea, hey, if you reconnect with Bambi, I really like Bambi. You know, David's on his own. I'm on my own. Like, there's all these pairs in the game. Let's make something happen. Let's work something out. Let's reconnect somehow. So I'm hoping that put a little bit of a bug in Mariana's ear. I've yet to vote for Mariana. So I think she can trust me in that aspect, because I've done what I said I was going to do every time. I voted for Philip. I voted for, I voted for Katie. And then I voted for Haley. So I do feel like Mariana can trust that, at least, that I've been, full tilt with what I said I was going to do. So, I don't know. We'll see how things go with Mariana. Now people think that she's got the compass, so now people are flipping the vote on her for the next vote. And it's just like, guys, like, can you listen to me 3 rounds ago? Like, could we have voted her out instead of Philip first? Like, that would have been more beneficial. That's the other thing, too, is I'm curious where Carl's head really is at, because he voted Philip out. He wanted all guys. He voted Philip out, which put us, like, really, really far down in numbers as guys, right? And I don't want a guys alliance. I don't want to be part of a guys alliance. Like, I don't like that. And I don't like that he keeps saying it. He's like, oh, we got to pull David in. No, we don't. Like, I'm curious about it, because, like, and then he thinks he's going to be able to pull a girl into, like, hey, there's us 4 guys, vote with us. I don't think that's going to work. I just don't see it happening. So I'm just curious. I'm going to take a step back. Danielle's putting me out there. It's very interesting to me, because Danielle was the one that called me out for being, like, buzzed during Crossroads in the last episode. But I mean, by that point, we'd already been playing for 3 hours. Like, I was fine, and she's like calling me out that I'm, like, super buzzed, and, like, look at him, he's all glazy, and I'm like, I'm just tired. Like, I don't know why you're calling this out. And then today, she was kind of like, stop saying Mariana's name. But it's like, well, what name do you want me to say? Yours? Like, what other name do you want me to say? I got to say something to somebody, and I can't say Carl's name to Carl, and I can't say Haley's name to Haley. I can't say Haley's name to Bambi. I can't say Haley's name to David. So what name am I saying? And I'm not saying Bambi's name, because Bambi's name is not coming out of my mouth, because I want to work with Bambi. So Mariana's the only option for me. So I'm intrigued by why she's putting me on a pedestal. She's making me look like I'm being chaotic and that I'm being, going against the grain. I'm not. I have not been going against the grain. I've done exactly what I said I was going to do every round. So if Danielle's playing this game, then that's good on her. Like, she's making me look more villainous than she. So I think that's smart, because if she does take me to the end, she has things to say negatively about me. I think that's genius. Like, if you're willing to go to the end with me, you've got to make your game better than mine. So ultimately, if I've been saying Mariana's name this whole time, and then Mariana finally goes, Danielle is still, like, the hero of her game, right? So Danielle's playing this game. So I have to figure out how to get Danielle out, but I know that Bambi and Olivia aren't going to vote her out. So I have to figure out. And then Carl says we can bring in Danielle into our alliance. Danielle's connected. Danielle is very connected. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get Danielle out next. That can't happen. I have to somehow figure out a way to catch Danielle in a lie, or catch Danielle doing something, like, off kilter, right? Like, she's playing it like she's just going with the flow, and but she's running the game. Hands down. She is running this game. So, because why else was Mariana not brought up? It's because Danielle wants to work with Mariana. So now that other people are starting to get privy to the fact that Mariana could have a compass, we can't let Danielle know. I think Danielle and Mariana are working closer together than we think. That just kind of came to me. So we'll see if that's true. But Danielle's playing this game, and she's playing it hard. I just have to play it a little harder. So at this point, if Carl and Josh are really with me, I may not want to vote them out. I may want to try to see if I can sway them to work with David and Bambi and the 5 of us try to go to the end. I think Bambi's our better shot. He wants to bring in Danielle or Olivia. I have a side thing with them. So, like, I don't want to bring them into that because that makes things too complicated. I need David to survive the next vote. So that's a priority, and Bambi. If the three of us can survive the next vote, I'll feel a little bit more confident that we can kind of shuffle some things around. But this was a pivotal vote. It just didn't go the way I wanted it to. So I've got to figure out how to get... I've got to weaken Danielle somehow, and I just don't know who would be the person to do that. So I think it's Mariana. I think I have to figure out a way to get Mariana out of this game. All right, that's it. I'm going to bed. Final 8, that's awesome. I'm really excited. Final 8 is usually my downfall. So if I can get past Final 8, I'm going to feel really, really good with myself. And Final 7 is always like a really pivotal moment because, a group of 4 could potentially combine and go to the end. So it's really just getting through this next round and hoping that I can get a full compass in my pocket. That's the goal. Good night. Okay, so I am doing a second confessional simply because I feel like I really don't have a lot of agency in this game, and I'll explain why. There's 3 reasons why I think this. So the first reason is Danielle came to me in the middle of the round, last round, basically telling me, like, stop pushing Mariana's name. You're putting a bigger target on your back. I don't understand how that's true. If Mariana is the only possible name that makes sense for me to push, why would that put a bigger target on my back? Is it because people think I'm working with David and Haley? I don't understand. Like, I'm just confused why she thinks that. And if it's true, is she the one kind of pushing that, like, Mike needs to go? Or is she telling me because somebody else is saying that? So that's disconcerting. So that's one reason why I think I have no agency. The second reason why I think I have no agency is that I was pushing Carl, not Mariana, and it gained some traction to an extent, but then the side that I was trying to save, Haley and David, literally went against that and decided to push Josh instead. When I specifically told them, I don't vote for Josh here because he's got the other half compass. I need that. Unless we can find another half compass somewhere, we're up a creek without a paddle. So we need Josh. We need Josh on our side. So instead, they go and push Josh. Like, I think what ended up happening is that people were potentially vying for me. And, like, they needed me on their side. So if I'm pushing Carl, then they vote Josh because I'm closer to Josh. Not the smartest move. And then the flip side, if they're thinking that because I'm pushing Mariana that I'm tight with David and Haley, they clearly want to break up that duo because I'm potentially a third with them. But none of that is true. None of it's true. I'm with Olivia and Bambi. So it's just confusing to me why people think that, like, why people aren't listening to what I'm saying. So there's this piece to the game where I'm confused because if everybody's, like, in these little pairs, there's obviously groups of 4 somewhere along the line too, where I'm being pulled in as more of a 5th than a 3rd. Which is still good, which is still okay. I don't like the fact that I'm being kind of goaded to the end at this point. Like, I'm not a goat. I don't play that way. I'm a very strategic player. It's just that nobody's listening. Like, nobody listened to me about Katie. Like, I told David and Haley not to trust Katie. They refused to listen to me, and they ended up getting bit in the butt by Katie. Like, Katie's demise ended up being Haley's demise too, and potentially David's. So I don't understand why they didn't listen to me. And now here we are again. Carl is telling everybody whatever he wants to say and telling everybody else's business, but nobody seems to want to target him. And people are like, oh, we can get him off down the line. Well, we said the same thing about Katie, and Katie literally turned on her closest ally. So Carl potentially is going to do the same thing to somebody because he can't possibly hold true to everything he's said to everybody so far. Carl needs to be a target. So there's that. Or Carl's game is going to blow up. And that's going to be his demise, which is fine. But, like, I want to be an active player in this game. I want to have some agency. And I have goose egg. I have no agency. Danielle basically threatened that there's going to be a target on my back. Carl and Josh wanted nothing to do with voting off Mariana. David and Haley wanted nothing to do with voting off Carl. So the two names that I threw out there, nobody wanted to vote for. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is not only was I pushing names, but Carl during Crossroads is going on about how nobody's pushing any names. He's heard no names, and he's worried because that means that maybe it's him. And I'm like, that's not true, Carl. Not only are you pushing a name, but I am pushing a name to you. Like, I told you who I want to vote for, and you completely disregarded it, and then during Crossroads says that nobody's telling you any names. That's not true. That is not true. And it's just funny to me because I don't know what games people are playing. Like, I don't understand Carl's game. I don't understand Danielle's game. Like, I'm really confused. Like, she either has, like, the utmost control of this game, and I need to take her out sooner than later, or she's just as clueless as I am and potentially has just as much agency as I do. So I'm just confused about, like, how to navigate this game. Because I just assumed that I had some pull going into this last round, and I had zero. None. The two people I was trying to protect got votes. That's not good. That means one of two things. Either people are trying to weaken me and then take me out, or people want me on their side and are trying to take out my closer allies to make me, a desperate player, which is potentially working because at this point, I need to make some moves. I need to connect to somebody. So I specifically assured Olivia and Bambi that I'm with them to the end, that it's the three of us to the end. And then Olivia was like, well, what about Danielle? And I'm like, what about Danielle? There can only be three people sitting at the end. Potentially only two. But, like, best case scenario, only three. And I didn't tell her this, but Danielle's my biggest threat to beat me. So if I take Danielle to 4, then, I said what I said I was going to do. Or I did what I said I was going to do. But Danielle's got to go. Like, I don't beat Danielle in the end. So I've got to figure out where I sit. It's final 8. This is where things get really hairy because I have to figure out who my 3 people are. And I want it to be Danielle, Olivia, and Bambi. But if I have no agency, I'm gonna play desperately. I'm gonna give my vote wherever I think makes the most sense for me. So if the 3 of them don't want to give me any agency in the decision making, then I may not want to work with them. And that's part of that too. Same thing with Josh and Carl. Like, if you don't give me any agency, if you don't let me feel like I'm part of the team, I don't want to work with you. That's just all, that's the way it is. Like, Carl and Josh literally gave me zero agency. They refused to vote for Mariana. They pushed Bambi and Haley, the 2 people that I said I didn't want to vote for. So it's just interesting. I hope Josh understands that, I could have tried to flip the vote on him and I didn't. Like, I didn't want to. So I'm hoping he sees my allegiance to him as gold. But ultimately, I need to get him, like, as my number 1 because him and Carl are number 1s to each other. So if I can get Carl out of this game, then Josh has to rely on me, I think. I hope. So we end up putting our compasses together and maybe shake up this game a bit. That's the only thing I can think of. And I just hope that Josh doesn't see that, me pushing Carl in any way has anything to do with my allegiance to him, because I want to work with him and I need his other half compass. So I have to figure this out. I have to figure out how to get the compass in my hand or put it in Josh's hand to protect both of us. But with Carl still in the game, that doesn't work. So I have to play that out.
I'm so happy about tonight. I feel like it was my first big move of the season, and it was the night where I really needed to pick a side. And I definitely feel like I made the right choice, and I'm so relieved that there was no compass played at Crossroads. The way I look at it is I could have gone with David and Haley, or I could have gone with Carl and Josh. And I chose Carl and Josh because as much as I have said in the past that Josh is a big threat, which I still think he is, he's like good at challenges, he's good strategically, good socially. I definitely feel like Carl and him come as a pair, and it's like having one extra vote to help me because I know that Carl and I are like each other's ride or die. And then with David and Haley, even though we had the alliance of 5 and I had like a solid relationship with both of them, I couldn't count on the two of them, like, because they had each other's backs a lot more than they had mine, and like it wasn't like I could count on them both to always help me, like in any case. So I'm really glad with the outcome tonight at Crossroads. I did have a little freak out moment though after Crossroads because I was in a room with Mike and Bambi, and Mike said, I don't know how this information got out, but somehow Mariana knows that I throw her name out every round, and I have no idea who's telling her this. And I was just like sitting there like, oh my God, like don't give it away, because I've been telling Mariana everything. And I can't wait for everyone to watch these episodes and realize how much I'm throwing literally everyone under the bus. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, I have been telling Mariana because I trust her more than Mike. I feel like the Girls Alliance, I mean, obviously Haley's gone now, but the Girls Alliance was always supposed to be like me, Danielle, Bambi, and Mariana. It was like the core of the Girls Alliance. And like Mariana also has like nowhere to go because all the Team Kelly people are basically gone, and I did feel really good with her, and I felt like we had a really open relationship. So I was going to tell her if I heard her name, and I definitely feel like Mike is a little sneaky, so I don't trust him as much as I did in the beginning. But I'm really hoping that Mariana doesn't reveal that I was the one who told her that Mike keeps throwing out her name, because that would really, really fuck things up. And I'm also starting to get paranoid because we know that there's a compass floating around from Kelly's Instagram, and I thought for sure Haley had it. I mean, like, she could have taken it with her on the way out, but I doubt she would lie about it after getting voted out. And people seem to think that Mariana has it, which is, like, red flags, because if she has it, why wouldn't she tell me if we're supposed to be this close? And then, like, potentially, I don't even think David has it, because, I don't know, he's just, like, not giving me the vibe that he has it. Bambi, I feel like she would have played it because she knew that she might be in trouble tonight because her name was out there. So if Mariana really does have it, that's not good, because if she is not willing to tell me that she has a compass, she could easily tell Mike, like, you know, Olivia is the one telling me that you keep throwing out my name, and then they could be like, yeah, like, she's playing both sides, we can't trust her. So that can't happen. I'm just wondering, like, what to do for next round, because there is no clear decision. Mike is definitely someone that's sort of emerging as a strategic threat and someone to watch out for. And I did have a conversation with him and Bambi that he wants to go to the end with both of us. But I don't know. I'm just getting really nervous because I feel like he could easily connect the dots. He's super smart. And I know that he was very hesitant tonight to vote for Haley. It definitely seemed like he was a lot closer with David and Haley than I figured, and just because he was working with us tonight doesn't mean he won't, like, keep flip-flopping around and not vote with us tomorrow. So that's definitely something to look into tomorrow. I just really hope I can win a challenge, because I have this, like, tiara that I've been so excited to wear if I won exemption, and I haven't gotten to wear it yet, which is sad. But yeah, I'm really happy with how tonight went, and I hope tomorrow goes well too.